everybody. So I'm here to talk about last night's presidential debate. Okay, if you're watching this, thank you. If you're new to the channel, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Okay, based on the state of politics in this nation as a whole, I can tell you we don't really have much to talk about because it was a bunch of bullshit, okay? So the rules ABC set for this presidential debate as of last week were as follows. The debate, which began at 9 p.m. last night. That's late for me. It's late for me to have had to stay up last night. That's why I couldn't do a video. So the whole thing was hosted by ABC. Basically, they said there will be no live audience, no opening statements, according to the rules that they made. The candidates were supposed to have 2 minutes to answer questions, 2 minutes for rebuttals, and an additional minute for follow-ups and clarifications. Did we see that happen last night? No, we did not. They were not good at timekeeping. Nevertheless, the two candidates will also have up to 2 minutes to deliver closing statements at the end. Just a quick note. You do realize these presidential debate rules have only changed because of Donald Trump and his miserable behavior, primarily because of the 2020 debate with Joe Biden. Truth be told, he should have been admonished when he was following Hillary Clinton around the debate stage, trying to intimidate her back when, you had the town halls, where people could actually participate and ask presidential candidates questions. They used to have 3 presidential debates. This has only stopped because of the Trump-Biden bullshit, all right? His behavior. He is not a politician. Well, I mean, I guess. But, he's not somebody who's trained legally. He's not somebody who's schooled in the art of politics, and that's why he doesn't know how to debate. He never had that kind of fucking training. He's a goddamn con artist, okay? Argue with the wall, all right? He's ridiculous. The rules should remain, and people should have to do the 3 presidential debates. You can't even do that anymore because you don't know what the fuck is going to happen. But honestly, America can't really take the stress that comes with the politics these days. All right. Also, one of the debates used to be a town hall where we as Americans, could ask questions. And also the candidates could talk back and forth without having to fucking mute the mic. This is crazy because you don't know how to act in a debate because you don't really have no skills but conning people. So regardless of who wins this, I think, honestly, everybody's out their goddamn mind anyway. And we all know there is a contingent across America, even people that vote for Kamala, I still think they're going to lose their mind if Kamala wins. This is a shit show. Anyway, if Trump wins, Project 2025 will become fucking law. And don't let him bullshit you like he did at the fucking beginning of that debate. I haven't read it. I'm sure there's good ideas on both sides. How the fuck you going to be president of the United States and you ain't read something that has other citizens up in the uproar, upset like myself? That is declaring the destruction of the Department of Education. Who the fuck you think that's going to hurt the most? African Americans, like it always has. The level of fighting black people have had to do just to get education, the illegalizing, of African Americans' ability to even be able to read through slavery, punishing black people who got an education after slavery, and reminding them you a nigga by getting a college degree and you come back home and all you can do is wait tables or be somebody's fucking butler. Miss me with the bullshit. Giving police officers all this immunity and shit. His fucking vice presidential nominee, J.D. Vance, wrote the goddamn foreword to it. He don't know? You think he didn't? Miss me with the fuck shit. All right? So all of his corrupt cronies are going to get out of prison and shit. And meanwhile, your family, your cousins will still be in there. And them same black men who voting for him, even the ones that have a record, y'all, wow. They don't necessarily have felonies. He's up here a whole 34 count convicted felon, okay? Sorry, my hair. Y'all, I just got off of work. I just got back home. I want to make sure I did this video. Convicted felon. And he going to try to keep other felons from voting. You know what? No topics or questions were given before the debate, okay? Kamala Harris, they both come on the stage. Kamala Harris walked over directly to him to shake his hand and said, "I'm Kamala Harris," which is the way it's supposed to be. But she's not supposed to have to introduce herself. He didn't say, Donald Trump, it's nice to finally meet you. Nothing. And she walked over there. I could tell she made a beeline to his part of the podium. He wasn't going to shake her hand if she wouldn't have walked over there like that. Racist shit. I hate that fucker. I hate that condescending racist shit. And people don't realize, oh, what was the big deal? No. It's those slights. And she made sure she pronounced her name right. I know she was waiting for him to fuck it up. He didn't even say her name. I don't remember him saying her name directly. All right? The first question was about the economy. Yeah, we needed to talk about that. And the question was, are Americans better off than they were 4 years ago? Economically speaking, no. All right, so Kamala Harris begins by telling us she grew up as a middle-class kid and wants an opportunity economy for other people the same way she feels like her mother had access to, and she's going to do that with the $25,000 down payment assistance, right? And that's for new homeowners. You qualify as a new homeowner under the government, a first-time homeowner, if you haven't owned a home in 3 years, okay? So even if you got foreclosed on or whatever within 3 years, you still qualify as a first-time home buyer or buying it by yourself, all right? And Trump is going to continue his tax cuts for billionaires. Y'all who think that $1,200 check, which I personally didn't get one, okay? Because they said I made too much, which was some bullshit. Anyway, so the economy is shit, period. The reason why it is because we're paying for 2 fucking wars, the one in Ukraine and supplying weapons to Israel. That's what the fuck we paying for. The genocide in Gaza. That's why I'm pissed. I am not so gung-ho any fucking body to the point where I'm going to sit up here and endorse genocide. And some people can probably say, oh, okay, but if you vote for Kamala, you are. Let me tell you something. What the fuck I'm not going to do and what the fuck I can't do is fight for somebody's rights and then help put a dictator in by not voting. Okay, it is not because I don't care about the lives of those Palestinians. They are wiping out whole bloodlines, but you have a better chance of convincing Kamala Harris to do the right thing, especially considering the fact that she's black, not arguing with that one again, or the fact that she's a woman. Women tend to be much more sensitive to things like that. Much more. All right? Anyway, so this motherfucker starts talking about China. I said, shit. Kamala jumped into policy. This is what I'm going to offer, this, that, and the other. This motherfucker starts talking about sending to China. And I'm just like, you got to be a dumb motherfucker. Only white people are allowed to be so goddamn stupid and still ascend Sarah Palin, still ascend Donald Trump, still ascend George Bush. Black people always have to be so much more exceptional to even get through the fucking door. Hell, even for other black people, if we're going to keep it real. So Trump said he has never read Project 2025. Already gone in on that fuck shit. The whole idea that Biden benefited from the economy that Trump built is so bizarre. And it's such an outright lie. No, Trump, you benefited from the Obama's economic policies when you took office. Okay, because let's not forget, problems with Barack Obama I have aside. Barack Obama inherited the greatest economic crisis this country has ever seen. Yes, worse than the Great Depression. They didn't want to say that because they didn't want us to panic. I studied history. I knew what the fuck was happening, okay? I know what the fuck is happening now, at least because I was in college when all of it started going left. He cleaned that up, and even Barack Obama, I remember him saying, because I remember watching the news and his speeches more often, I remember him putting certain things into place, like the Affordable Care Act. He was like, we really won't see the residuals, honestly, for another 10 years. He was like, so even after I'm out of office, it's still, in order for these things to take effect, policies and laws sometimes go, he was like, it's going to take 10 years, and that'll be after I get out. And that's exactly what happened. And he didn't even want to approve those not inflation checks. The stimulus checks that they had during COVID. He didn't even want, Congress forced him to sign in on it. Anyway, so she quoted America's economic speculation. Okay? Kamala Harris responds, and she was like, okay, the economists speculate UPenn's Wharton School of Business, which is the top school of business, one of the top schools of business in the country, like top 3, and America's top economists have said that your plan will fail. Like, she kept sticking with actual points and facts. Why? Because whether you like her or not, Kamala Harris is a trained politician with experience who has been elected to office over and over again and has to have run campaigns and had to start a presidential campaign. Y'all know it ain't been but like 6-7 weeks. Only a black woman could sustain. Because this shit is wild, okay? This shit is wild. All right. He went to the Wharton School, and the people there have even said his policy is going to fail. I could have told you a con artist, he just failed up because he had money. Anyway, so as far as I'm concerned, saying, well, why haven't you done it? Motherfucker, for somebody who served as president, you don't know the role of a vice president? You mean to tell me Mike Pence could do whatever the hell he wanted to? No, that's why you ain't pick him a second time around. J.D. Vance has that position because you can limit the kind of things that a vice president has access to. The vice president only has as much access as a president allows, as I've explained before. And I know it's going to be some dumbasses that get in the comments who I don't even know how they find me, just want to argue, so on and so forth. It's just like Harry Truman did not know that Franklin Roosevelt and his other advisors had been planning with the Manhattan Project for the atomic bomb that he ends up only finding out about when Roosevelt drops dead. He was in the same space, but he only had access that the president would let him know that information. FDR never told him. And then he's the one who drops it on Japan. He has to have that stain on himself because the impact to the environment and those people that they destroyed was atrocious. We've only seen certain examples of people really working closely, and that's in recent history. It's Al Gore and Bill Clinton, Dick Cheney and George Bush, Obama and Biden. It's not common. And a lot of people have felt stifled by that job. And for Donald Trump to have been president, then to say, well, why haven't you done it? You don't know the difference between vice president and president? You must, because you said the position of vice president isn't that important. You're only there if I die. That's what the fuck he said running this time around. If Biden don't let her in, I think it's actually to her benefit that he hasn't. That she's only had certain things she could put her hands in. Then he goes back to China as a threat. I don't know what it is that triggers in the white American mind when you say China. Now, I understand the history and the complicated issue. Plenty of countries have issues with the United States. I don't know what that is that gets them so, ooh, but they fucking flip out. Worse than they do with Russia. And Russia's a bigger threat. Anyway, all right. So, he goes back to China. Not Israel's bullshit, not Russia. Can you guess what's convenient about that? If not, I'm gonna need you to catch it. Anyway, so Kamala Harris came clearly learned, prepared, like a studious black woman, like a HBCU alum. Come on, Kamala. She brought up how Trump thanked President Xi of China during COVID. She said, so for a country you don't care about, last time I checked, COVID, first of all, it's still going around. But that was 2020 and that pandemic hit us. Y'all, that's barely been 4 full years. It feels like forever. But she was like, why were you publicly thanking him? Twitter fingers, he always gets caught. This bastard had the nerve to call her a Marxist. Yo, Marx and Engels wrote the Communist Manifesto. And it's the economic philosophy that everything should work. And this is just a short, but I'm not giving you the whole spew. It is, more complicated than what I'm saying. But it basically was an economic philosophy that comes about, especially in the 19th century. Marx and Engels write it, right? So they basically say, look, the way we get rid of poverty, you have to lead a revolution. But the revolution is going to be led by the bourgeoisie because they're more educated. Not the proletariat, the working class, because they're disorganized. They're not going to be able to do the work, which is actually problematic anyway, because we have seen over the course of history, it is usually the poor, the impoverished that actually lead the rebellions because they're deprived of so much. Nevertheless, one of the undercurring theories is that everybody gets equal amounts of everything. Anything produced in the country, everybody gets the same amount, no matter what kind of work they do, whether they are a doctor or a janitor, this, that, and the other. That collectively, for the common good, we all contribute, and then everybody is sustained. But the problem with Marxism and communism that a lot of people don't realize is that at its core, not just simply other people having equal amounts, I think it's antithetical to human nature. People are competitive, as you know, Martin Luther King pointed out. But it's also, at its core, it says, because they write this in the 19th century, when you have all of these slave rebellions happening, breaking free in South America and in the Caribbean, and they say that, see, you won't even have a race problem. Once you equal out everything in terms of economics, we have seen, no matter how much money a black person makes in this country, and the issue of race is a thing throughout South America, Central America, the world, but particularly in places where there was a legacy of slavery, we have seen it doesn't matter how much money a black person can make, how many times do they remind them they are N-word? Name me one black person that hasn't been reminded. No matter how they mind fuck themselves. I'll wait. Because you ain't going to find one. Now, anyway, so he's calling her a Marxist. First of all, she is the second in command for a capitalist country. Quit playing with me. Okay? She won't even use the word working class or impoverished. Now, I think that's on purpose because she knows that the conservatives would say, see, she just wants those welfare queens to have everything. And they would. Anybody in control of the U.S. government is not a Marxist. Okay? That's not, they don't even welcome those kind of people. Anyway, so then we get to abortion. And he has really walked back all the stuff that he was rah-rah about because he knows that it's not sitting well with a lot of women, regardless of class and regardless of race. The idea that you won't have that opportunity to get rid of a pregnancy is absurd. This son of a bitch, Trump claimed that abortion in places like West Virginia, they approve of abortion in the 9th month. Now, white man with the black hair, I forget your name, but thank you for fact checking his ass. You did that a few times. I'm just not gonna have it. Nope. He was like, there is no state in the union that approves abortion in the 9th month. He was like, no, yes, there are. He was like, no, there is no state in the union. Like, I'm not gonna even play this game. Y'all know, you know, presidential debates prior to this didn't take 2 people. It was just one person. Sometimes they would have like 3 people, but it's really because it's almost like if a woman's in control or a man's in control, like they don't know what Donald Trump is going to do. That should already say to all of us that this is not a democracy and he's out of control and therefore unfit. Okay? So he says, well, Waltz, then he starts attacking Tim Waltz and says he's a bad choice because he believes in the execution for the baby after it's born. I said, say what now? I mean, it was just such an outright absurd lie. Why? Because he made access to safe abortions in his state that he put in things in place despite the Supreme Court that might make it easier to get rid of an unwanted pregnancy. What the fuck are you talking about? And there's people that follow him and listen. Because the undecided voters are the people that are going to make the decisions. Because let me tell you something, even if people don't like Trump, it's not like they have another Republican they can run to. So it's just like, it's just what it is now. All right. So he said he believes in abortion. He doesn't believe in abortion except in the cases of the 3 exceptions: incest, rape, or the life of the mother. Okay. Since when? You said you didn't care before. So black women, or the black woman, what's her name? Lindsay Davis, I think, tag team in the debate moderation, let him finish with all that bullshit, and then said, oh no, she was the one, I'm sorry, she was the one that checked it. And she was like, there's no state in the union that allows abortion in the 9th month. I said, go off, black woman, go off in your classy ABC way. So Kamala responded by saying, look, the rules of Roe v. Wade need to be restored. They do. Y'all, terminating a pregnancy is not killing a baby. Okay? Now, I know that there are people that feel connected as soon as they find out that they're pregnant, so on and so forth. And they have every right to carry their pregnancy to term if they choose. You are not murdering a human being. And people need to stop making women feel guilty and bad, because I'm telling you right now, having a child and not wanting it leads to people abusing kids, mistreating them, and the majority of people who have even been polled and surveyed anonymously, as they should be, make that decision really because of financial reasons. They can't afford it. And the same people who are against abortion are also for slashing social programs that help support, like WIC, other forms of welfare that, give women access to health care who don't have it through their jobs, who are impoverished. How dare you leave nobody a choice? And they really don't want black women to have abortions because they know they can just track kids from preschool and they'll get into trouble and they can send them to jail and they work for free. Don't think that don't think this shit is about morality. This man had been married 3 times and had kids from multiple women all over the place, and he's Mr. Morality? Get the fuck out of here. So anyway, they call each other liars over 200 times. That's just my individual estimate. We didn't need 2 additional debates for these because this shit is crazy. So then he brought up how Kamala lied about student loans, the same way she just lied about abortion. I can tell you, in this case, I'm a primary source. I received the email from the Department of Education after filling out my paperwork saying my loans were forgiven. And a few weeks later, maybe 3 weeks later, receiving another letter from the Department of Education saying that we're disappointed, but the Supreme Court has overturned it, so we have to restore the debt. Like I have that on file. Okay? So for him to say no. The Supreme Court, with the 3 justices that you got to individually appoint in 4 years, and that's another thing y'all have to realize. The fact that he will have the opportunity to appoint more people to the Supreme Court, and there is no block. These motherfuckers get to die there. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, God rest her soul, she should have retired in time for Obama to appoint somebody else to her seat. Because that's how we got these crazy motherfuckers. Kavanaugh, who was accused of sexually assaulting women and shit before this. And now he's making the decisions about what people can do with their body? Fuck out of here. All right, so on immigration, Kamala talked about how she had a bill to keep illegal immigrants out. She did. Okay? And it had hit Congress. It seemed like it was going to be in favor, that people were voting for it. Trump got on the phone and told people in the Republican Party to kill the bill by not voting for it so he could appear to solve it when he got back into the office of the presidency. And we've heard that before. He did it. He said it. And they were willing to do it. That tells you the Republicans don't give a fuck about the immigration problem. Stop calling it the migrant crisis. These people are from over the border. They're immigrants. And people from Texas can bust them to New York. And then all of a sudden, they're supposed to get jobs and shelter. And I'm like, y'all know how many homeless people we got here? You know how hard it is for us who work? And God bless them. I know those people don't have anywhere to go. I'm not saying that people shouldn't have shelter, but I'm just making a point. So quit fucking acting like you give a shit about Americans. And then, when asked why he killed the bill, he decided, when they asked him to respond to what Kamala Harris had just said, he decided to address the crowd sizes at her rallies and said nobody comes, and the people who do, she pays them to come and stay. And she just looked and started laughing. I just mean, at some point, it's just like, this shit is ridiculous. And I actually find it insulting that somebody of Kamala Harris's intelligence and accomplishments has to sit up here and debate with this fuckboy, racist ass idiot, 34 count felon, because we know a black man could never be on stage with them kind of charges, debate and accomplish what it wouldn't happen. They wouldn't let it happen. And that's the shit that pisses me off, and that's the shit you got to be able to see through, even if you don't like her. What they're playing in our fucking face. So, anyway, so he says his rallies are full. Why? I mean, you just keep giving Obama, when he keeps talking about crowd size, and he was making fun of you. Like, you just keep talking about that. How much attention do you need? Then he claims she's destroying the country as vice president, because the vice president definitely had. Now, let me tell you somebody who fucked up the country as vice president. Dick Cheney, because we know George Bush was not smart enough to make them decisions on his own. So anyway, he started claiming that immigrants were eating dogs and shit. I said, huh? But that's the kind of shit they want to believe about people who are not from here. the journalist was like, okay, well, look, I talked to the city manager, the white guy. He was like, I talked to the city manager of Springfield, Illinois, who said there's no evidence that people have been eating dogs. And I was like, his response, Donald Trump's response, well, you need to find out. You need to find out more information. He just said he did his due diligence. Nobody knows what he's talking about. Now, you know, people in places like Springfield, Illinois, okay, catch. When them kind of people are not giving you what you want in terms of that kind of evidence, it ain't there. It ain't there. It's like when Donald Trump called down to Georgia to threaten them people about them votes. Let me tell you something. Them white people, the same ones that stole that election from Stacey Abrams, Brian Kemp is counting his own votes to be governor. Them kind of people cheat all the time. When them people tell you, no, the numbers ain't there. They ain't there, bruh. They ain't there. I don't know who the fuck you pissed off, but you must have pissed off some really powerful white men. They usually let you go on with this foolishness. The way George Bush got away with shit, wild shit. She went in, and Kamala Harris responded to him by saying, you know, you're going on and on about, you know, crowd size, this, that, and the other. And she talked about the 200 Republicans who have endorsed her, including racist, cheap-ass former Vice President Dick Cheney, who voted against Meals on fucking Wheels, helped carry on that what led to a 20-year war in Iraq, has endorsed Kamala Harris. You know how Republicans are. They don't really care for women in power anyway. And you mean to tell me he done endorsed this black woman? Y'all done pissed this man the fuck off. Donald Trump, you've grinded the gears of some really powerful people. Because they would not be coming out so publicly against you. I don't know what you did to piss these people off, but whatever you did, it pissed them off. Okay? Anyway, so Trump claims that Biden created cases against him to win his election, and then he weaponized it by creating trumped up charges, essentially. You're a 34-count felon who was convicted in front of a jury of your peers. White people tend to get a jury of their peers. Okay? And y'all have had a history of getting away with things. The fact that you didn't get away with it, bruh. Hang it up. Because the fact that his sentencing is even pushed off till the end of the election, all of this shit is wild. He should be locked the fuck up. So he says that it was clear, it was essentially set up based on the Supreme Court ruling in his favor. I said the Supreme Court with them same 3 relatively new justices that you appointed that have been serving there over the last, 7 to 8 years, who you handpicked just for this purpose? Do y'all see what happens when you vote in a fool? They can make long-range decisions. And that's why the Democrats got to stop being so motherfucking weak. Because they don't stand for shit. I have no problem saying I am voting against what I know. We are in a state of emergency. Okay? State of emergency. So, I think Lindsay Davis is her name. The black journalist asked her about her policies to Kamala Harris. Asked her a direct question, which is, to me, the kind of substance we need in a debate, but we couldn't even do that. And she was like, well, how have your policies changed? While you claim you made different policy decisions, but you claim your morals have never changed. So which one is it? And she was like, originally you claimed you would ban fracking. You're no longer banning fracking. She went back to how, and then Kamala Harris responds and goes back to how she grew up in a middle-class family and had a hardworking mother, how she became a prosecutor because her friend was being sexually assaulted by her stepfather. I said, politics much? Because that's not what she asked you, honey. That wasn't what she asked. But let me tell you something. You deflected good because you called him out when you tried to do that whole middle-class family thing. You said, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. He was given millions and filed for bankruptcy 6 times. I said, now that's the kind of read I'm talking about. The kind of read that you get while you nursing your first drink at happy hour. Talking about somebody you don't like at work and want to see him fired. I said, go off. All right, so he claimed he made billions. I made billions off of the millions his father earned. She just started laughing. And he said, excuse me, I'm speaking. Stop interrupting me. I said, first of all, these mics are muted. I don't know what it is with these white men. Actually, I do. White men really think they have the right to control black women's bodily movements and reactions. You remember how Sean Spicer told April Ryan as she sat there as a seasoned journalist in the White House asking questions for the Trump administration, against the Trump administration, asking questions, and he said something, she shook her head. He was like, don't shake your head. Like, the fact that white men really think they can do that to black women is a problem. And so that's why this divide with black men and their behavior and hating accomplished black women, I don't think y'all understand how this is gonna hurt all of us. And y'all need to get y'all shit together. Okay, for real, for real. And like trying to control her laughter and demeanor. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, so all right, the white guy with the dark hair. I know I need to know these people's name, but oh well. So he asked about the peaceful transfer of power. I was thinking to myself, you know, good and goddamn well, this ain't gonna be no peaceful transfer of power. And even if he said it was gonna be, we all know he lied about everything. So he brings up and cites January 6th. They asked him if he regretted anything from January 6th. He went on about how Ashley Babbitt, one of the white women who was storming the Capitol, was shot by a police officer who had no right to shoot her. I just want to make sure I'm not getting carried away. I just want to make sure. All right. They had no right to shoot her. Like, African Americans aren't killed on a regular basis. Sonia Massey, Brakia Boyd, Breonna Taylor with no justice and blaming her boyfriend for it. I'm supposed to give a fuck about somebody who went storm the Capitol, had no right to shoot her. I tell you what, it would have been a bunch of black people claiming that Our Lives Matter who want the government to stop endorsing the killing of us by not checking police. That would have never happened. Don't do it. I don't like when people play in my face like that. So he then talks about how he had nothing to do with January 6th. We love you. Go home. Fuck you. All right. And the immigrant crime, he starts blaming all this immigrant crime. First of all, this country is violent enough. These school shootings are disproportionately carried out by white male American-born students. Cut it. Okay, just stop the bullshit. All right, and Kamala Harris, he said, and then this is Donald Trump talking, and Kamala Harris is just embarrassed about her role as border czar. I said, baby, oh my gosh. She already read you about how you killed that bill, and this is what I mean by it's not a quality debate. He claims the security was Nancy Pelosi's job on January 6th, not his. Nancy Pelosi, who they went and defecated her office and everything else with no mask in the midst of... Quit playing with me. So Harris talked about how Trump was impeached and indicted, okay, based on January 6th. She brought up the Proud Boys, where he told them stand down and stand by, and him saying there were good people on both sides in Charlottesville, but she only referenced anti-Semitism, you know, not their white supremacy over black people. So anyway, so they asked him about the election and how has he been unwilling to acknowledge that he lost in 2020. He said he never said that. That's why they were storming the Capitol. He said the two things we need are, one, better elections in this country to make the country better. Two things we need: better elections and immigration control. Motherfucker, have you checked a grocery bill lately? I don't know whose list this is on. You just pulling shit out your ass. So he said they lost by a whisker. I said, and they asked him if he was acknowledging that he lost. And he said, when I said that, I was being sarcastic. Baby, you don't have sarcasm. You don't have the wit for sarcasm. You're just an asshole. All right. So they asked Kamala Harris, Madam Vice President, about Trump losing the election and the upcoming election. They asked her what her response was to the claim that he won. She said he was fired by 81 million people. Let me tell you something. I don't care what nobody says. That shit has got to hurt any human being. For somebody to phrase it like you got fired by 81 million people, god damn. You know, usually you just get fired by one person. To get fired by 81 million people, Lord have mercy. So she said she traveled the world as vice president and that they laugh at Donald Trump. And they don't take him seriously because of his behavior by world leaders. They don't. They don't. They know he'll sell this country. And as long as it makes him millions, he don't give a fuck. He'll sell us to the highest bidder. But Kamala, baby girl, they are laughing at you too, as well as America as a whole, because this shit is a goddamn shit show. We were going to have a president that couldn't even walk. Donald Trump is a felon by American standards, yet he's running for president of the nation. It's not like a rumor that he's kind of corrupt. What the fuck? So Trump follows up by saying Biden hates her. He said Biden hates her and nobody wanted her as president back in 2020. Nobody, yeah, she had to close her campaign. But people want her as president now. Oh, the way the cookie crumbles. You never know. Let the chips fall where they may. If that's the case, Donald Trump, then this should be a runaway for you. Those polls shouldn't even show any competition. Then they asked Kamala Harris about the war in Gaza. As far as I'm concerned, they waited too long to bring this up. Okay? So Harris started talking about October 7th and how Israeli women were raped by members of Hamas. And many women were killed. That's a lie. Other news outlets, not a CNN, not the MSNBC and Fox News, they're all corporate media, have proven they did not rape any. Those members of Hamas did not rape any Israeli women. That's something they said so that we would all be upset in America and therefore justify the billions going over there of our money to kill innocent Palestinians. Hamas is a group, a revolutionary group, who does not want the Israelis who took over their country in control. That's not true. That did not happen. And I'm not going to play these games. Okay? See, I don't have that kind of like, indoctrination where I'm just going to agree with whatever people say. I think Harris wants to uphold this shit and will play the same game that Obama played. Okay? Because this issue of the Palestine and Israel, it ain't going nowhere, and it's been here for a long time. She said she wants a ceasefire. Okay, well, y'all make it happen. Stop giving them weapons so they'll be forced to stop killing people. Trump responds by saying if he was president, this would not have happened, and she hates Israel and the Arab population. So you're basically accusing her of hating Israel, the Jews that are there, with her Jewish husband, and then hating the Arab population who make up the Palestinians. If you don't quit fucking, oh my gosh, I said, just bye. I don't fuck with either of them and any of their points regarding Israel and the genocide against Palestinians. Okay, I stand with Palestine, and that's where am on it. The only fact Trump gave is that he said we have a president who doesn't know whether he's dead or alive. Okay, moving on. So Kamala checked in when she said, I need to remind Donald Trump, he's not running against Joe Biden. He's running against me. Yes, ma'am. So every time Trump decided he wanted to respond to Harris about anything, they let him. And he kept talking over the journalists and cut his mic. Nobody cut his mic off. Don't be fooled. They will always side with their own. They should have checked Donald Trump multiple times because he was going on. Where was the timekeeping, the 2 minutes that I told y'all? That's why I went over the rules first. Then they asked him about the comment he made about her turning black. This son of a bitch had the nerve to talk to us like we were stupid. And he goes, why? He basically asked him, why would you make a comment like that about her race? What were you trying to say? Right there, the say it to my face statement that Kamala did, he said, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care what she is. Whatever she says she is, that's her choice. She said, she let him finish with that bullshit. I don't care. I'm just telling you, she can be whatever she wants to be. He backpedaled like a motherfucker. And then they asked her what her response was. Kamala Harris was trying not to play in to those race politics that we know white people weaponize, use, and loop over and over again. Right? Once again, I don't think that Kamala Harris is worth it for any black woman to sit around going back and forth with a white man over how black she is. Get the fuck up out of here. But when she said, she went down the list and she was like, oh, okay, so on and so forth. Her response to it was, you refuse to rent property to black people. How you took out a full page ad in the New York Times calling for the death penalty of 5 young black men known as the Central Park Five. She said, so So as far as I'm concerned, her going down the list of things that have happened to African Americans specifically was her way of saying, oh no, I'm all here for it. I know what the fuck is happening in my community. And don't do that to me. She's, you know, and it's funny how he's making, he backpedaled so quick on that. Because his base would have loved that. And I was really nervous. I'm telling you, I had a lot of anxiety about this debate. Because I have this secondhand anxiety for Kamala. Because I know what it is to be a really qualified black person. Whether I agree with her politics or not, it's not the point. Because we all in this together as black people. And this was what I also thought was the danger of, never mind, I'm not going to do that yet because I feel like that will bleed something else. But I was really worried because I know the kind of things white men say to black women about black women and the way that can throw you off. And you can be keeping it together, but internally you're enraged, you're angry, you're hurt, you're sad, and you have to keep going. And so I was really worried about that for her. So I'm just glad it's over in that sense. And now we got to move on with this election. So those are my thoughts. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Please be respectful to people. Please don't start coming up with unnecessary conspiracy theories and stuff like that. Keep it moving. All right. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.